Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Family Show, the very awesome Family Show, Season 2, Episode 33. Today with me is my guest, Matt Westin. And as I was looking over your stuff, I kind of wanted to ask about one of your songs first, um, the Stomping Grounds. Um, when I heard that song, it brought to back memories with the bars like I used to hang out at and stuff like that. Is that written on like a bar that you used to hang out at back in the day?
No, no, no. I think it's just a song that a lot of people can relate to, obviously, So I knew it would be a winner instantly. All my friends and pretty much everybody I know. I'm from Pittsburgh, so
Right,
it's a drinking town. So we all have our stomping grounds.
right.
Yeah,
And I was going over and listening to some other interviews you done, and
yeah.
I found it interesting that you went to school and all that stuff for engineering.
Yeah.
But what made you happy was music, and so um, what spurred your decision to and you also do acting as well. So I'm kind of curious where the love of acting comes from as well. But what spurred your decision to say I'm not going to keep going to the engineering stuff and go into um, doing the arts? I guess for since you do multiple things.
Yeah. Well, I think it really just goes back all the way to when I was a little kid. Uh, when I was in, I guess it was first grade, we put together a time capsule that we wouldn't open until we graduated high school. So all those years passed by, and I totally forgot about it until I graduated and they gave it to me, and I opened it up and it said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said, "An actor." And I was in first grade. Favorite color was, I think, red at the time, and Bruce Lee was my favorite actor.
The,
But but since I was a little kid, I had an interest. I just never honestly really pursued it or took it seriously until after I was an adult. Um, like I said, like you said, I pursued other things. I did engineering for a while. I have 2 degrees in engineering, and well, I just wasn't happy. I was pretty miserable working in a cubicle all day, every day, and well, so I was dabbling on the side with karaoke and singing in some friends' bands and things like that. And I had an independent film company with a couple guys for a few years. So I was dabbling in it, just to get my creative side a little bit of satisfaction because sitting in that cubicle, man, I felt like I was dying inside. So when I lost my job, I decided I'm not going to go back to engineering. I felt like I was wasting part of the reason I was born, really, because we're all made this way for a reason. And I didn't want to waste it. So I decided I was going to pursue acting more, actually, originally. And I ended up in Los Angeles. Well, long story short, and so I don't get too emotional here. About a year after I moved to LA, my father passed away. So I decided I had to come back to Pittsburgh, where I'm from. And basically I had to rebuild myself from scratch because it destroyed me. It really did. It destroyed me. And my dad had always loved my singing. Um, I learned how to sing in college. I taught myself pretty much. And he would always be there when I would DJ karaoke. He would come out and just both my parents would, and he just loved my singing. And it was just a hobby for me. It was a passion, but a hobby. So I decided, kind of out of the blue, like an epiphany, as they say, that I had to pursue music, and I dedicated my debut album to him. And it actually became a huge part of my healing process, getting through losing my dad. And it ended up giving me a whole new kind of purpose and path on in life. And it's really become like my identity now, who people see me as opposed to being an engineer. And it's it ended up being a legacy for me. I named the album Legacy because it honors my father, but it ended up creating one for me too. And I really feel like it's been blessed from the beginning. Just I was doing it for the right reasons. It was all from the heart. And music's a powerful thing, and I'm a living testament to that.
Yeah, and I want to say I understand how you feel about losing your dad. I lost my dad at 20, and so it's been 17 years, and it
Sure.
sucks because you probably have the same feeling as I do. Just sometimes you just like to be able to call them and say, "Hey, this is what I'm up to now," and all that kind of stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
so I get you
Every
there.
day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's been
And
4 years for me now, and it's amazing how time flies. The pain is still there. You just kind of learn how to live with it, I think.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you do. And I used to host karaoke as well, so I kind
Yeah.
of wanted to know the song I'll be happy if I never hear again is "Picture" by Kid Rock and Sheryl Crow. If I never hear that one again, that'll be
Yeah,
true
bro. Oh yeah, I know. That's one of the most popular ones. I heard it every night, and terrible versions of it. Terrible versions of it. I think it's
too.
Picture, and Love Shack can go. Both of them go straight to hell. I'm
Yeah,
I'm tired of it. Yeah.
that's funny that you found singing through that way.
Yeah.
Um, and was there? Do you remember the first night um, where you felt something about it? Like, there's been a couple nights where I've had where people have been paying attention, all that kind of stuff, which is really cool. Was there one of those nights where you had something like that happen and it made you realize you had something to your voice more than maybe just somebody singing?
Uh, well, no, I can't remember a specific time that something happened, but I do know that I couldn't sing when I was a kid at all. It was terrible,
Yeah.
terrible. And then actually in church and things like that, you'd sing a little bit, and then I was trying to emulate Frank Sinatra and Johnny Cash, and Toby Keith, Garth Brooks, guys like that. And I would just, I'd sing karaoke. And well, actually, in college, singing was like kind of therapy to me. When I would walk to class and I was stressed out, um, I was always singing. I was always singing. It was a release for me. But then, I found karaoke once I found it when I was 18, I think. Shouldn't have been at the bar, but I was hooked from the first time. I think we did no, not Love Shack. It's in my head now. Damn it. Love Shack. No, we did. Me and my buddy did YMCA. That was my first
Yeah.
karaoke song, believe it or not. And it was so funny. We took the bartenders, these girls were dressed like police women. So we took their hats and sang YMCA. And I was hooked. I was totally hooked. And it just grew from there. And then a friend of mine who actually worked for as a DJ, she's a DJ. Her name's Tammy Petty. She's here in Pittsburgh. Um, she really saw something in me and kept pushing me to sing a little bit more and more. And she wanted to sing some duets and things like that. So she was probably the first one that pushed me to think about pursuing more music. Um, and so I give her a lot of credit for that. And then it just, I think when I started to notice people clapping a lot at karaoke, um, it just kind of slowly dawned on me that, yeah, maybe I do have a little bit of talent and it's not just the alcohol.
Right, right.
um, and then uh, when I saw the reaction from actually, I went to a karaoke contest, and my parents didn't even know I really sang karaoke. And I invited them to this contest. It was the finals, and they were like, "Wait, what? You're in a karaoke contest? What? You're an engineer? What are you talking about?" So this was like 9 years ago now. When I went up there to sing, the first song I did was Josh Turner, "Your Man." and my dad's jaw hit the floor, and my mom started busting out in tears. She had to turn around so I wouldn't see her crying. She was like, "Oh my God, that's my son," and that's a special memory for me for sure. Um, and I ended up winning that and going to Chicago for it was a TV show called Karaoke Battle USA. It was only one season. It was pretty cool. But I got to sing at the House of Blues in Chicago, and it was hosted by Joey Fatone. Carney Wilson was one of the judges, and she, I think she hit on me a little bit. I think she was just being cute, but it was funny. But I think really the moment I saw the reaction on my parents' faces is when I knew that it was something special. Um, and here we are, we're talking about music, and I dedicated my album to my father, to his memory. So really, music, I think it's just always been stemmed from somewhere deep inside, in my heart, and it all comes from a place of love. And one of my fondest memories of music, my dad gave me a cassette of Elvis, like greatest hits, when I was like 3 years old or so, and I listened to the whole thing in the middle of my bedroom floor. I was just in awe. And I'm thankful I can't believe I still remember that, but I think maybe that was the beginning of it, and it all goes back to my dad. So I don't know. It's been a weird journey. There was not one single moment that really said, you need to sing. It was just a lot of little signs, I think, that led up to where I am now.
Right. I can feel you there. The first cassette I had was a little different. I got Led Zeppelin 4. That was the first one the cassette I got. So it was there. One of the things I had to learn when I did karaoke is because I mean I'd love to go up there and sing a bunch of like 80s hair metal, but my voice didn't fit it. So were there songs that you wanted to sing karaoke, but your voice can't?
Oh yeah, of course. I've always enjoyed pretty much any kind of music. I love all different genres, and I think I started out trying to emulate guys like, actually, Frank Sinatra helped me to learn how to sing. I was trying to learn how my voice worked, and I just loved the music. It was soothing to me. It was hopeful. It was upbeat. It's still my favorite kind of music. And I could have, honestly, maybe if it was a different era, I probably would have pursued that style of music. But it was in the 2000s here, and my voice was suited more for like country or country rock.
Right.
And just so happened I love that kind of music too. So I just kind of naturally gravitated towards that. But I also identified with that kind of music too, more personally, just with how I was raised and the things that I believe. So country music really just seemed to fit like hand in glove for me.
Mm-hmm. And Rance with Rogers used to rock the house with Guns N' Roses and Bon Jovi renditions, and people that could do those well, in my experience, were very few and far between.
Yeah. Yeah. It's some of the ranges on some of those rock songs are just so high. I don't have that high of a voice. I mean, I have a decent range, but yeah, I'm definitely not a hairband screamer. You know what I mean?
Right.
But hey, it's fun to try. It's fun to try, whatever.
Yeah, for sure. It's karaoke, so
Yeah.
I remember one person saying, "Oh, was one of the other hosts back in the day," but he said sometimes you clap because it's good, and sometimes you clap because it's over.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's amazing, man. I DJ'd for like 8 years, and the stuff that I heard, just the god awful sounds that people make, you have to eventually just either black it out or you'll go nuts. So I don't know how I did it for 8 years otherwise, But yeah, I'm glad I'm done with it. I'm glad.
Oh yeah. Well,
although I do miss it a little bit.
Back when I did it too, everybody being drunk with the slips, and then it was all the CDs too when I was doing it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even just punching it up on the computer, which I was like, once I saw people doing that, I'm like, that's almost like cheating, man, compared to what I had to do back in the day.
Yeah, yeah. I remember the CD days. Luckily, when I DJ'd, I just had a laptop and I type it in, and there it is. You
Yeah,
know, otherwise, I probably wouldn't have done it. To be honest with you, too much
right.
work.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of want to know, like, what are some things that you're excited that you got to work in, acting wise?
Oh, well, the most exciting thing I probably did. Well, there's a few things. Uh, I did a short film. Well, I did a lot of short films, but I actually did a full-length horror film. I had a lead role in it called All Saints Eve. It was made here in Pittsburgh. Geez, when was that? Probably close to 10 years ago. Um, so it's been a while. That was really cool to have a lead role in film. And plus, with my independent film company that I had for a few years, we did a lot of horror stuff.
Mm.
Um, so it was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. There were some names in it too. Sean Whalen comes to mind. He's in a bunch of stuff. If you look him up, everybody knows his face, but no one knows his name. Sean
Right.
Whalen, awesome guy too, by the way. And then I was in the last thing I did before I moved back to Pittsburgh in Los Angeles was I was in a Slayer music video with
Oh,
Danny
that's pretty
Trejo.
cool.
Yeah, yeah, and I spent all day with Danny Trejo. He's in so many things from Dusk Till Dawn,
That guy's
Machete.
everywhere.
You know who that dude is?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, he was awesome. That was cool. Slayer music video. Unfortunately, my horror friends were the ones that were producing this. It was
Mhm.
actually a three-part music video. It was a short story over three music videos and three different songs. And mine was called Pride and Prejudice. Now, I probably cannot ever run for office or anything because this honestly, I was like, oh my God, what did I get myself into here? On set, everything is fun. It's fake blood. Everyone's having fun, goofing around, and it's all fun and games. But then when they put together the final video, it's just like gruesome and kind of shocking, to be honest.
Right.
But it was a lot of fun to do. It really was, and there was really cool people in it. Danny Trejo, like I said, was one. But recently, I was cast as a young Johnny Cash in a film called 116 McDougal. Now that one I am super excited for. That I think that one could end up being a life-changing project for anybody involved. It's about 116 McDougal is the address of the Gaslight Cafe in Greenwich Village, New York, in late 50s, early 60s, and the owner was actually from Pittsburgh originally. The is about how the owner protected his artists, musicians, singers, songwriters, beat writers. They were a lot of folk musicians. He had to protect them from the mob, from the FBI, local police, and government because their message was counterculture. It was the beginning of the counterculture movement in America, and it changed music history and American history. And it's the story of that place and its impact on the world and all the amazing people that came through there. And Johnny Cash is just a small part of this story.
Right.
And I'll be Peter, Paul, and Mary, Bob Dylan, Woody Guthrie, Salvador Dali was in this film. Let's see, my goodness, Jack Kerouac, Allen Ginsberg, all these writers, musicians that really had a message for the time. And I'm really honored to be a part of that one. I have two songs on the soundtrack, and we didn't start filming yet. Unfortunately, this whole shutdown really set us back big time.
Right.
I think the budget's pretty much in place, and we're filming it here in Pittsburgh. It's a multi-million-dollar film.
Wow.
It's a serious project,
It'll
and
be cool to see when it comes out.
yeah, dude. You know what? I want to see the film, but I actually get to be a part of it, so I'm really
Right.
excited about it, and I can't wait to lights, camera, action. Hopefully soon. We'll see.
Yeah. And Linda R. She says, "I love Right Amount of Wrong.
Oh yeah, thanks, Linda. Thank you so much. Um, well, yeah, right amount of wrong. That's a sexy song. That's a very sexy song. Um, my girlfriend actually was like, "Is this song about me?" You know, but I think it's true. It's very relatable. You need to have a little bit of edge in there. If everything's all smooth sailing, it's not as fun. That's not real. It's not how life works. So
Right.
sometimes the little things that get on your nerves are actually part of that spice of life. It makes it exciting. So thank you, Linda. I appreciate that.
So when you were doing the independent film and you were doing horror, is that something that you used to like to watch when you were a kid? Because when I was younger, like one of my favorite horror um, film series is Phantasm.
Okay. Honestly, not a huge horror film fan. Not really. Um, I'm not really a gore fan, to be honest with you.
Mm,
I don't find it entertaining or satisfying or anything edifying, whatever, in any way, watching people get mutilated. Um, some of the classic horror films, though, like not classic, but like 80s one,
mm,
Nightmare on Elm Street,
yeah.
things along that line. They're gory, but they're also, oh, they're creepy otherwise too, scary otherwise,
Right.
and entertaining. There's comedy involved too. Um, but I never really grew up watching that kind of stuff. But after I started making films and I saw how things were done, I viewed them a little bit differently,
Mm,
and they didn't disturb me as much. Um,
right.
but no, I'm not a huge horror film. It's around Halloween now, so I'll probably watch a few. You know, but I'm not a diehard horror fan like some of these people that go to these conventions every
For
year and
conventions, yeah,
things
yeah.
like that. I've been to the conventions, and I had a booth at a convention one time. So I mean, it's a lot of great people, interesting people. Um, but horror is not really my first choice. I usually like to watch comedies.
Right.
Yeah. And when I was a
Right.
kid, I liked action movies, Arnold Schwarzenegger, people like that, Sylvester Stallone, things like that.
Yeah.
Even though they're a
Yeah.
little violent too, but not that gory.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. It there's a definite difference when like the horror films, like when it goes to, like Saw and all that kind of stuff, to
Yeah,
where it seemed like the other ones were just like when they got killed, maybe there was a little blood or whatever, but that was it, and it was done,
yeah,
and then they all have to one up each other. It seems like to make it, I gotta be more gory, and it's like,
yeah,
sometimes the best scares were the suspenseful parts before the people got killed, and not
yeah.
not when that actually was happening.
I agree totally, absolutely. I love that. The
Yeah.
suspense is like what really gets you, and it gives me anxiety. So I think that's why I
Yeah.
avoid
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
it. Yeah.
Um, so what when you look at doing the film like you got coming up, do you like to research for that role, like figure out exactly what he was doing at that point in his life, so you can kind of get into his mind since you're playing an actual person?
Yeah. Luckily, I don't have to do too much homework because the story's not really about him,
Mm,
but so it's not going to be like, months of studying and whatnot.
right.
Otherwise, it probably would be. You just kind of have to do that. Otherwise, why are you playing that character if you know nothing about them? It doesn't
Right.
work.
Right.
It doesn't
Right.
work. So, yeah, I'll have to do a little bit of research. I already, I've watched Johnny Cash for a long time, but nothing specifically within those years. I haven't really sat down and like plugged away and researched the things that I need to make sure that I do or include to make it more realistic. I haven't done that yet. We don't even have a shoot date yet, so I still have some time. But I will absolutely, yeah, I'll do some research and some
So
practice.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So the songs you have on that the soundtrack for it, are they your original songs or is it covers?
No, they're Johnny Cash songs from that era. The soundtrack is all of the musicians that are part of the film, um, all the characters that are part of that film, a lot of their uh, big hits, or even some more obscure ones that were really personal to them. This is
Mm.
really like a little, um, I don't want to say time capsule. It's like a tribute to those artists and to that time. So I did Johnny Cash's Folsom Prison Blues and 5 Feet High and Rising, which he wrote about when his town flooded when he was a little boy. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're all. Oh, man, I can't. I wish I could remember all the different artists that were in this, but I heard the whole soundtrack, and it's insane the talent that they got for this film. I don't know how they pulled this off, but it is going to be incredible. And I would expect, honestly, the soundtrack itself to be successful, even outside of the film. So yeah, keep your eyes open for that. 116 McDougal, the soundtrack.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
That's
hopefully
kind of,
soon.
I mean, it'll be awesome. See, Linda Barker, she just looked up the right amount of wrong too. She enjoyed that one as well.
Thank you.
Uh, is there people? I mean, it's because since you did the karaoke for all those years, it kind of probably helped prepare you to be able to do a cover song on a soundtrack. Then.
Yeah, you know what's weird? Um, it really just fell into my lap. If I hadn't been pursuing acting when I was an engineer, um, I wouldn't have gotten offered an audition for this film. A friend of mine who was in the film suggested me for the role when they had a production meeting. And it just so happened that I had a recording of me singing Folsom Prison Blues to a
Uh,
karaoke track. I'd recorded it in a studio to have my own cut of the song um, to give to my producer, Brian Cole. It was kind of like my audition for working with him to produce my debut album.
mhm.
So I had already had a recording ready to go when they called me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in this?" I was like, "You know what? I just so happen to have a recording. I'll send it right over." And within like an hour, it was unanimous. They picked me. I was the only one they auditioned, and Folsom Prison Blues is on the soundtrack now. So
Right.
if I hadn't done karaoke in the past, this wouldn't have happened. It's just weird when you connect the dots sometimes, and you see how
Yeah,
things work together. So um, I got goosebumps a little bit right now. Actually, it's
that's
a little signs that you're on the right path.
yeah. That's what when I was younger. I'm like, why do I have all this random knowledge in my head? And now I talk to so many different people about so many different things. I'm like, well, now I know why. It makes sense why I had all when I was younger. But you're right when you start looking at all the dots. Like, how did that conversation go? Because your parents were surprised at you doing the karaoke, and that was awesome when you brought them to the contest. But how did this? How did the conversation go when you're like, hey, I don't want to really do the engineering anymore. I kind of want to be an actor, and that's what I want to do now.
Yeah, that was a little difficult. My family always really supports me. Always has. They've always believed in me because I've always worked hard and I've always been successful with things I put my mind to. Now there was some resistance to me pursuing other things, um, but they saw how unhappy I was when I was an engineer. It was affecting my health. I was getting sick every 2 months. I
Yeah.
was really stressed out. I wasn't really treated well at the company, and to be honest with you, I still have nightmares about it sometimes. And it's been almost a decade. So um, I think once they saw how happy it made me, and actually I did a play in Pittsburgh soon, not too long after I lost my job, and I think that was the turning point when they realized, okay, you know, he's got some talent, he's working at it, he's happy, you know, more power to him. We support you. But it took a minute, especially from my grandfather. He met my grandmother at Carnegie Tech. It used to be Carnegie Tech. Now it's Carnegie Mellon University, and that's where I went. So I made him so proud that I went to the same place as him, and it, it was really disappointing to him at first. But when he saw me on stage and he saw that, I had a little talent, he came up to me, shook my hand, and he said, keep doing what you're doing. And that felt really good to get that support finally. Because, of course they're going to question it. I would have too. They just want the best for you, So it really wasn't a tough conversation, or a traumatizing conversation, but it was more of like a slow process of gradual approval.
Right. And I think that's important for some people here out there when they're starting, if they, whatever their dream is, you might not get approval right away, but if they see that you're happy and they see that, you're doing what you love, then they'll probably come around. And Conan in the studio, he likes to ask this question, but he wants to know Iron Maiden or Judas Priest.
I don't have too much of a preference. Those are actually two bands that I'm not actually that into. Not that I don't like them. I just never really was introduced to them when I was younger. When they were more mainstream, I was a kid. My older brother was more into them, and some of my older cousins. And when I was in grade school, I was into like Boys to Men and stuff like that. Now they're talented, beautiful stuff. I still know all the words to their song.
Oh man, I remember in third grade singing "End of the Road" with my buddies out on.
Everybody knows that. That's so funny. But like my first like rock band I really liked. There's like probably three that I can remember, maybe four actually. Was Metallica, which I still love today. They're incredible. I saw them twice live. They're incredible. But there was Queen, Aerosmith, and Bon Jovi back in the day, like on cassette. Iron Maiden and Judas Priest I didn't really get into, but I do. What's that one? I just heard it the other day on Ozzy's Boneyard on XM radio. It was Judas Priest. Oh man, I can't remember the song, but it's one of their popular songs. And I'm like, man, why don't I listen to them more often? I really like it. So I'll probably, if I have to, I'll say Judas Priest. Hope I don't disappoint you there.
I got Lady Justice actually tattooed on my arm right there from "And Justice for All." So
nice.
I'm right there with you on Metallica, and so is Chasing America. Mimaz is saying Queen. And Linda R wants to know, who is your favorite singer or band?
Favorite singer? Oh boy, that's tough because I really like so many different kinds of music. How do you choose between Frank Sinatra and Elvis Presley or Johnny Cash? Like they're different, they're just different. But I have to say the most influential one on me would be honestly Frank Sinatra, without a doubt, hands down, Frank Sinatra.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And I sing country music, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and he just not only how well he could sing and everything, but just the longevity of his career too. How long he was out there singing, how many years.
Yeah. He had to adapt with the times a lot too, and he was just really an entrepreneur. He was down on his luck, and then he'd be on top again. Nothing ever stopped him. So I watched a documentary about him on Netflix. It's like a 3-part series or something. Just absolutely incredible. His life was like, honestly, it reminded me of like Forrest Gump. It was that ridiculous because he was involved in so much stuff. He dropped out of school to become a singer. His parents kicked him out. He had the balls to do that, And then like he ends up being the biggest pop star in the world at the time. Well, who'd have thought that would happen? And then he ends up helping JFK to get elected. His son was kidnapped, and then like I guess it was Bobby Kennedy helped to recover his son, and like it's just all kinds of crazy stuff, and all the women that he ran through, and just I don't know. And then Vegas and how he really helped build that town to make it what it became. The guy was just an incredible figure. I really recommend watching that documentary, and there's tons of music through the whole thing, so it's very enjoyable. Check it out.
Right. I'll definitely have to look that up because that'd be interesting to learn, and it kind of explains why after he really got going, he had so much confidence. How he's like, hey, I knew this about myself when I left my parents' house. So this is what I was gonna do.
Yeah.
And all you guys are just catching up now, basically years later.
Yep.
Incredible. And when is your album due out?
Well, my debut album has been out for actually a couple of years. It's been out, but I'm working on a new one now. Actually, I'm going to Nashville in, geez, I guess that's like 3 weeks. Holy crap! Okay, time is flying. But I'm going to Nashville to record a song in October, and I'm going to have just world-class band recording for me in the studio. My producer knocked it out of the park on this one. Just the who's who of session musicians down there are playing for me. And it's a song I wrote with I believe she's been either got a Grammy or has been nominated a couple times. Joey Scott, she's a songwriter in Nashville. We wrote a song called Thin Blue Line. It's dedicated to police officers and first responders, and in general, and the sacrifices that they go through, and the risks, and just how they're really just people like you and me, and it's incredible that they can do that and still come home and be mother and father, or brother, sister, and just turn it off somehow. And you never know if they're going to make it home from work. That's and I have a lot of friends that are in law enforcement, and in the military, so I really felt like they needed something more now than ever, to put a positive message out there, because I know the kind of people that they are, and I respect the hell out of them. So this one's really special to me. It should be out, hopefully by the end of the year, or early next year.
Amazing to hear that one for sure. And here we got coming out, because one do you have out now, like the song Farmtown?
Yeah.
I remember driving through a bunch of little towns when I drove truck for years, and you painted the picture so well in that song of that's basically the only place to have fun in that town at night, is there's just that one bar, and that's where everybody goes.
Yeah, that's another relatable song that well, it's a good rock and country song, upbeat, and there's actually a friend of mine wrote that song. Her name is Carlene Thyssen, down in Florida. I think it's pronounced Immokalee. I remember she told me it sounds like broccoli, but it's Immokalee, and it's based on her experiences growing up and living for a long time in farming towns. So, and actually, my good buddy Douglas, he's a farm boy from Iowa, and he loves that song too. So, I guess it struck a chord. I think it did. Pretty cool.
Yeah, and going to the studio, I'm not sure how to say the names, but he says, "What about between artists Frank Franzetta or Boris Vallejo?"
I'm not familiar.
All right. And Linda R., if you could do a country duet with any female singer, who would it be?
You know what? I think I was asked this in like one of my first interviews ever, a couple years ago, and I'll just keep the same answer. I said Carrie Underwood, because she has the best legs in country.
Yeah, that's a good answer. You got to think ahead to the music video on that one. That's
Yeah. Although
thinking.
I know what I should say. I should say Gabby Barrett because she's from my hometown.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of mutual acquaintances, so that's cool.
Right.
I think she just went double platinum actually. So
Wow. That's amazing. That's
I have a long
amazing.
way to go, brother.
Right. Yeah, that's a long way to get to where it's platinum. And I'm kind of right there with you. I'm just starting doing this myself. So it's, I can see where I want to be, but it takes a little bit to get there. And you're putting in the work to, doing your albums and then doing the acting as well. And so it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting to see what you end up doing here in the next, 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of scary to think about because I don't know where anything is going to be in the next year, let alone 5 to 10. Hopefully, it doesn't take me that long to find some more success to where I can, live off of this.
Right.
Because I've been busting my hump for a couple of years now, doing construction and electrical work and things like that. And I tell you what, it's better than sitting in a cubicle, but it's not that much better.
Right.
I'd much rather be on tour,
Yeah. A little sore at the end of the day doing that kind of work too, for sure.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yep. And I appreciate. Yeah. You could always say it later on, as you get more successful, you can just say that you were doing it to keep in touch with the common man as you got more successful, and just pitch it in that terms instead of survival terms.
Well, I was never really handed anything. I didn't really come from a family with money, so I understand what hard work is, and I respect the value of a dollar. So, hey, that's all good country music values right there. So,
it is
all
for sure. Together. It is for sure. Well, once that album drops, I'd love to have you back on again. And then, like, if you go on tour or whatever, or when the movie comes out, if you want to come on and promote the movie or whatever, that'd be awesome too. I'd love to have you on again.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I really do. You guys, you do these podcasts and things like that really give a voice to people that may not really have a chance otherwise. So you're really doing a service for people like me, and I really appreciate it. So thank you.
Oh yeah, I love talking to you guys. And Linda R, she says if the bars open back up, he needs to come play a Coyote Joe's in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Sounds like a good time. Yeah, and definitely.
If they want to keep up with everything that you're doing, I've had your URL on the screen, mattwestin.com, and you can go there and you can get your music and all that kind of stuff. And there's you also have a YouTube channel as well. If you guys want to go check that out.
Yeah, you can find all my music and information and links to my social media, all things Matt Westin right there at mattwestin.com.
Awesome. And stick with me for a minute. Everybody that's been here today, thank you for popping in. I really appreciate it. And everybody that's listening later. And like I tell you every time, stop waiting for life to happen and make life happen. And that's what Matt's done. He's making it happen now. So you can do it too. And I'll see you guys next time.